Welcome to Lesson 2, where we will use MIT App Inventor 2 to create a simple app I call the Picture Panel app. In this lesson, we will learn about pixels and pixel arrays. We will cover the use of horizontal and vertical arrangements for screen layout. In the Designer workspace, we will introduce the use of table arrangements and images as buttons. We'll program our app, and we'll have an exercise where you can create your own version of the Picture Panel app. The visual display on an Android device consists of dots referred to as pixels. These dots may be thought of as little specks of light, and by changing the properties of the light, different colors can be produced. The pixels that make up the visual display on an Android device are arranged in an array from left to right and from top to bottom. Each dot in the array has an address. The visual appearance of the screen is produced by sending instructions to each dot based on its address that tell the dot whether or not to light up and what color of light it should produce. Let's begin by determining the height and width of the screen on our Android device in pixels. We will do that by pulling a button onto the display. And one thing to keep in mind here is you need to base this on the Android device itself and not on the MIT App Inventor viewer, because the viewer in MIT App Inventor will not be the same as your Android device. Once I have my button, I will go to its properties, and for height, I will set pixels, and I will put a value in here for height, let's say 300, and then see how that looks on my device. That doesn't quite fill it, so I'm going to adjust this number, and in my case, I know what the number should be, so I'm going to cheat a little bit. Okay, so now I have a button that fills the screen from top to bottom. Let's do the same thing for width. We'll set the pixels, we'll put in a value, and then if we need to, we will adjust that value until we get a button that fills the screen from left to right. Once I've done this, I need to record these values because I will want to know them later, especially as I work on the layout for my Picture Panel app, and I need to determine how large to make the images that will appear in the Picture Panel. You have probably noticed that when you pull components onto the viewer, they stack up one on top of another. Now, how would you create a row where items are side by side? For this, we use a layout component. On the left, click on the layout button, and you'll see there's a horizontal arrangement, a table arrangement, and a vertical arrangement. Pull the horizontal arrangement over onto the screen. Now this serves as a frame in which you can line up components. Let's try using a button from User Interface. Pull one button over, it drops into the frame. Now's the tricky part. Let's pull a second one over, and we want it in the same frame right beside our first button. We drop it, and there it is. If I wanted, I could now pull over another button, but instead I'm going to pull over a label, and I'm going to place the label right between the two buttons. So I'll drop it in. Now I've got a label, and you see the label forces the two buttons apart. We can use labels in this manner as a spacer that provides separation between components on the viewer. To do that, with our label highlighted, what we will do is adjust the width. I'm going to state it in pixels, and let's say 20 pixels. Now let's delete the text for the label. And when we do that, now you see we've forced a small separation between the two buttons. In this case, the label serves as a spacer and is a useful tool for achieving a nice visual layout. For sake of demonstration, let me demonstrate how you can use a vertical arrangement to achieve the same effect we did with the horizontal arrangement. From layout, I pulled over a vertical arrangement. Now I'm going to put a button inside that vertical arrangement. And now I'm going to put a second button, and I'll now pull a label over and insert it between the two buttons and adjust the height on that label to provide some separation between the two buttons, and of course delete the text for the label. We are now ready to create the Picture Panel app. This app will have 4 pictures of different canines: a dog, a wolf, a coyote, and a dingo. Each of these pictures will be a button, so when you tap the button, it will tell you about that animal. So to begin, I need to upload my files. I'll go to Media, select Upload File, then browse my computer to find the pictures. There's the dog. I will upload it. To control the layout of the picture panel, we will use a table arrangement. We go to Layout, we pull the table arrangement over, and let's give it a name. And with it highlighted, we see the properties on the right. We have columns and we have rows. Let's set both of these to 3. This will allow us to have 3 items in a row with there being 3 columns. I have had the experience in the past that if I did not set the number of columns and rows at the beginning when I first inserted the table arrangement, and I later made adjustments to these numbers, App Inventor behaved somewhat unreliably. I have already uploaded the images for each of my 4 buttons in my picture panel. If you've not uploaded the images, now might be a good time to pause the video. To create the picture panel, I want to have 4 buttons in my table arrangement. Let's pull the first one over. I will rename this my dog button. Now in the properties for that button, I'm going to specify an image. So under Image, I'm going to select my dog. And when it shows up, you see the size. I want to adjust that size, so I will set the height to 100 pixels, that is, and I'll set the width to 100 pixels. Okay, and I will delete the text. There is my dog button. I'm going to do that for each of my other images. Now that you have the 4 buttons for your picture panel, you can adjust their size and maybe add spacers between the pictures to achieve a visual layout that you like for your picture panel. I have a layout I like now, and I'm going to do one more thing to, I think, improve the look of the app, and that is to go to the screen and change the background color to black so that my buttons appear against a black background. So one more thing I need to do, since each of my buttons will need a speech-to-text component, I will drag those over and rename them for my 4 pictures. We're now ready to go to the block screen. The programming for this app is going to look familiar because it is the same thing we did for the question answer app in lesson 1. For our first button, we will get a when, click, do event handler. We'll find the text-to-speech that goes with that button. We'll get a call, speak, procedure call. Then we will go to text, get a text string, plug that in. Now let me show you a shortcut for creating 3 more of these. We're going to do Control-C and copy, and Control-V and paste. And we're going to do that 2 more paste. Then, for the second one, I will go in here and I will say, make this my dingo button. Make this my dingo text-to-speech. Make this my coyote button. Make this my coyote text-to-speech. Make this my wolf button. And make this my wolf text-to-speech. For the text string in each of the text-to-speech, here are words that can be entered that describe each of the animals in the pictures. Now that you know how to create the Picture Panel app, you can create your own app based on the subjects or the topics that you may be studying, or some subject or topic that you are personally interested in. For the notes to go with this lesson and other lessons, visit the Brain Hackers Association website at www.brainhackers.net.